first sunny day in a week. I never imagined people would actually come out in these numbers. And of course, I'd like to thank Christina and her husband Rick, who had me over for dinner last night, a delightful dinner, and so nice to get out of New York and come back to what I like to call the civilized part of the country, which completely confuses the New Yorkers when you say that. When it's happening so fun, of course. But, and I'd also like to thank the Kendall B&B down the street who kindly put me up last night, and that was awfully nice of them. And one of the reasons they put me up is because I've been corresponding with them, because I think this Kendall fellow is a guy I study who fought the War of 1812 and commanded Fort Edgecombe over in Wiscasset Way and Fort Preble down in Portland and whatnot. Sort of an interesting Freeport fellow. My other comment is not only am I glad you all came out, but it's a great thing when the Freeport Historical Society can contribute to Freeport's parking problems. That's really good. And I'd also like to put in a plug for the school I work at, which we have at least one alumnus here. Kings Point, the United States Merchant Marine Academy, is one of the best kept secrets in the nation. It offers a free education to young men and women who want to pursue a seafaring career. So if you are parents or grandparents and the thought of tuition makes you blanch, think about Kings Point. It's a fine education and a great way to serve our nation as well. That having been said, let's jump back to the War of 1812 and discuss this idea of free trade and sailors' rights. And I'm going to use as many local examples as I can to illustrate my points, and where I really want to head towards is Freeport, of course, and privateers, such as Freeport's own privateer, the Dash, and what happened to that, and its impact on the war, and the war's impact on Freeport, and also who the porters were, the folks who bankrolled the Dash. So let's see what we can discover here. The War of 1812 is a very unpopular war. Samuel Eliot Morison, a professor at Harvard, Naval Reserve Admiral, writing in 1969, says the War of 1812 is the most popular war in the United States ever. Okay, this is at the height of the Vietnam War, where there are a lot of protests going on right outside his window, and he's saying, you know what, this is nothing compared to the War of 1812, and of course he's right, because New England almost seceded. It almost left the nation as a result of the War of 1812. And it's, and that's, you're really talking about treason there. And there was a lot of dubious activity going on, and I just love exploring dubious activity, and smugglers and spies and traitors and all those people are, as I was talking to some folks before, they're much more interesting than my ancestors who were parsons and lay ministers, and we're honest folks, right? The roots of this war are maritime. That free trade and sailors' rights thing is really about this nation's ability to conduct trade at sea during a very difficult phase of this nation's history. We're a young nation. Hi, Pam, I see you. And Peter. Some old friends. It's a time where we're a very young, very weak nation in a world that is at war. France and Britain are at war, and the United States is trying to stay neutral and trade with both sides, but the warring powers aren't really willing to let that happen. And how Americans consolidate all of these confusing wars and things is they say this is a war for free trade and sailors' rights. That is, that American ships should have the ability to navigate and conduct trade with whomever we wanted without interference from primarily the Royal Navy, and sailors' rights in that those ships, their crews, should not be harassed by the British, and specifically that the Royal Navy should not board American merchant vessels or take American sailors either ashore or afloat and force them to serve in the Royal Navy against their will, often for many years under pretty horrific conditions where illness, disease, harsh discipline, and of course combat could either maim or kill them in a heartbeat. For Americans, this is a real issue. They equate this with slavery. And of course, it really is a form of slavery, though these sailors are nominally being paid. They're also facing just horrible conditions. So this is an image from the War of 1812 that I always like. The sailor representing the young republic, holding an American flag, and the motto underneath reads, "We owe allegiance to no crown." Right? We are a free republic of free people, and we owe nothing to the British monarch. Okay, so free trade involves ships like this. This is the ship Huntress of Wiscasset, and it is conducting trade with Britain quite a bit, and primarily timber from the Maine coast that's being exported to Britain. It's pretty rare to find a painting of a Maine commercial vessel in this period, especially a painting of this quality. I actually found this at the Worcester Art Museum, known as WAN, down in Worcester, Massachusetts. It's a painting, but it's not a painting on canvas that you would hang on a wall. It's actually painted on a tray.